My grandfather left me $2 million and an island off the coast of Maryland. All I had to do was stay there for 3 nights. By the end of the first night, one of my friends was dead. The lawyer's office smelled like old paper and regret. Mr. Pemberton slid the envelope across his desk, hands shaking slightly. "Your grandfather was very specific about the terms, Miss Hartwell," he said. "3 consecutive nights on the island, Friday through Sunday. You may bring guests, but you must remain on the property until dawn Monday. And if I leave early, you forfeit everything. $2 million. My student loans, my mum's medical bills, my sister's college fund gone. All of it solved if I could just spend 1 weekend on a tiny island in the Chesapeake Bay." I should have asked why. I brought 3 people with me. Ethan, my boyfriend of 2 years. Solid, reliable, the kind of guy who checks smoke detectors and always has a first aid kit. He squeezed my hand as we loaded the boat. Riley, my best friend since high school. She had her camera around her neck, always documenting everything. "This is going to be an adventure," she said, grinning. And Marcus, Riley's new boyfriend, quiet, awkward, barely knew us. He'd only been dating Riley for 3 months. Looking back, I wish we'd left him on the mainland. Not because I didn't like him. Because of what happened to him. The island wasn't big, maybe 3 acres of sand, scrub grass, and a single house perched on the highest point. Assateague Island loomed in the distance, its famous wild horses just dark shapes against the afternoon sun. My grandfather's house looked smaller than I remembered. Grey shingles, peeling paint, windows like empty eyes watching us dock. "When was the last time you were here?" Ethan asked. "I was 8. Grandpa Howard stopped inviting us after that summer." "Why?" I didn't answer because I didn't know. One summer we were visiting every July, swimming, collecting shells, listening to his stories. The next summer, he told my mum we weren't welcome anymore. No explanation, just done. He'd lived here alone for 30 years. The inside smelled like salt and something else, something old. Dust covered everything. Riley immediately started taking pictures, her flash cutting through the dim light. Marcus stayed close to the door, like he was ready to leave. "This place is creepy as hell," he muttered. The house was small, living room, kitchen, 2 bedrooms, and a study my grandfather had kept locked when I was a kid. Now the lock was broken, the door hanging open. "Maya, you should see this," Ethan called from inside. The study was exactly how I imagined a crazy person's workspace. Papers covered every surface, maps of the island with strange markings, drawings of symbols I didn't recognize. And journals, dozens of them, leather-bound, dating back to 1993. "Your grandpa kept diaries?" Riley asked, flipping through one. "I guess. I picked up the most recent one, dated 3 months ago, right before he died. The first entry stopped me cold. The island is patient. It's waited this long. It can wait for Maya." "What does that mean?" Marcus asked, reading over my shoulder. I flipped forward. Most of it was normal weather observations, notes about repairs to the house, grocery lists from his monthly supply runs. Then, buried in the middle, I found this. The Hartwell Compact, 1823. 1 bloodline, bound to the shore. 3 nights, 3 tributes. The debt must be paid in full. "Tributes?" Riley's voice had lost its playful edge. "Maya, what is this?" "I don't know. But I was starting to suspect my inheritance came with a price tag I couldn't afford. We tried to make the best of it. Ethan found a propane stove that still worked and heated up canned soup. Riley took more photos for the aesthetic, she said, but I could tell she was nervous. Marcus barely touched his food. "You okay?" Riley asked him. "Just feel like we're being watched." We all laughed, uncomfortable, forced laughter. Then the sun went down and the laughter stopped. At 10 p.m., the temperature dropped. I mean dropped from comfortable September evening to winter cold in minutes. "Is the heat on?" Riley asked, breath visible. There was no heat, no electricity at all except for the generator, which was running the lights. Ethan checked the windows. "They're all closed. This doesn't make sense." From somewhere outside, we heard it. Singing. No words, just a melody. High-pitched, like a child's voice, but wrong somehow. Off-key in a way that made my teeth ache. "What the hell is that?" Marcus stood up, staring at the window. The singing stopped. For 5 seconds, complete silence. Then something scraped against the side of the house, long, slow, deliberate, like fingernails on wood. "Stay inside," Ethan said, grabbing a flashlight. "Don't go out there." Riley grabbed his arm. "Someone's messing with us, probably locals trying to scare us off," but his voice shook. I followed him to the door. Through the window, I could see the beach, the dock, the boat we'd come in on. Empty. Nothing moved except the tall grass in the wind. But the scraping continued, moving along the wall, circling the house. "There's nothing out there," Ethan whispered. The scraping stopped directly behind us. On the inside wall. We all heard it. All 4 of us, standing in that living room, hearing something scratch against the interior wall like it was trying to get through. Marcus broke first. "I'm not staying here. I don't care about your inheritance, Maya. This is insane." "We can't leave," I said. "The will." "Screw the will." He grabbed his jacket and headed for the door. "Marcus, wait!" Riley ran after him. He was out the door before we could stop him. We heard his footsteps on the porch, then down the wooden stairs. Then nothing. "Marcus?" Riley stood in the doorway. "Marcus, this isn't funny." Silence. Ethan grabbed the flashlight. "I'll find him." We searched for an hour. The island wasn't big enough to get lost on. We called his name until our throats were raw. Riley was crying, Ethan was getting frantic, and I knew. Somehow, I knew we wouldn't find him. Not alive. At midnight, we came back to the house, exhausted and terrified. Riley was shaking, Ethan was calling the police or trying to, but his phone had no signal. None of our phones did. I went back to the study, back to my grandfather's journals. I found the entry dated exactly 1 year ago. September 15, the first night. The island took Thomas first. He ran, just like they all do. Found him at dawn on the south beach. The marks were on him. The tribute was accepted. My hands shook as I flipped back further. Different years, different names, but always the same pattern. Every September, 3 nights, 3 people who came with my grandfather to help with repairs or keep him company. None of them left. And at the bottom of this year's entry, the last one he'd ever write, I found, "I'm dying. Can't complete the ritual this year. But Maya will come. She'll have to, and she'll bring them. The island accepts any blood, as long as Hartwell blood delivers it." "Maya," Ethan's voice from outside, flat, dead. I ran. He was standing on the beach, flashlight pointing down at the sand. Marcus was there. He was arranged, that's the only word for it. Arms spread, legs together, head tilted back. His eyes were open, staring at nothing. No blood, no wounds, no signs of violence. But around his body, scratched into the sand, were symbols. The same symbols from my grandfather's maps. And his lips, God, his lips were blue and moving, like he was trying to speak. Riley screamed. She ran to him, dropping to her knees, shaking him. He didn't move, didn't blink. But his mouth kept moving, forming silent words. I got close enough to read his lips. 3 nights, 3 tributes. You choose. I found it back in the study, tucked inside the oldest journal. A letter, addressed to me. Maya, if you're reading this, I'm dead, and you've accepted the inheritance. I'm sorry. I didn't want this for you, but the island doesn't give us choices. The Hartwell family made a deal in 1823. My great-great-grandfather stumbled onto something here, something old, something that predates the bay itself. It promised him wealth, protection, prosperity. All he had to do was feed it. Every generation, one Hartwell must perform the ritual. 3 nights in September, 3 people brought to the island, 3 tributes given to the shore. If you complete it, you inherit everything: the money, the land, the protection. If you refuse, the island takes everyone, including you. You have to choose, Maya. You have to decide who lives and who feeds the shore. I chose strangers, drifters, people no one would miss. You brought your friends. I'm sorry. Grandpa Howard. I showed Ethan and Riley the letter. Riley's face went pale. This is insane. Your grandfather was insane. Marcus is dead, Riley. He had a heart attack or something. His lips were moving. You saw it. So what are you saying? Ethan's voice was sharp. That we're supposed to just accept that some island demon wants us dead? I'm saying we can't leave. And something here killed Marcus. We didn't sleep. We sat in the living room, lights on, backs against the wall, watching the windows. At 3 a.m., we heard the singing again. Closer this time. Right outside. Saturday morning came grey and cold. Fog rolled in so thick we couldn't see the mainland. The boat was gone. What? Ethan ran to the dock. The rope was still tied to the post, but the boat had vanished. It probably drifted in 6 inches of water. He was right. The tide was out. The boat should have been beached, not gone. Riley pulled out her camera, scrolling through last night's photos. She stopped. Her face went white. What? What is it? She turned the screen toward me. It was a photo she'd taken when we first arrived yesterday. All 4 of us on the dock, smiling, sun setting behind us. But in the background, barely visible in the shadow of the house, was another figure. Tall, wrong proportions, watching us. And in the next photo, taken just seconds later, it was closer. She flipped through the roll. Photo by photo, the figure moved toward us, getting closer, closer. The last photo in the sequence was from inside the house, taken right before dinner. The figure was standing in the doorway behind Marcus, touching his shoulder. I went back to the study, back to the journals. I found the rules written in my grandfather's shaky handwriting. Night 1. The island chooses the first, to test the bloodline's resolve. Night 2. The bloodline chooses the second, to prove commitment. Night 3. The bloodline chooses themselves or another, to complete the debt. Marcus was the island's choice. Tonight, I had to choose. Riley or Ethan. One of them had to die. I tried to tell them. I tried to explain. But how do you tell the people you love that one of them has to die so the other can live? We're leaving, Ethan said. Now, we'll swim if we have to. You can't. Watch me. He headed for the door. That's when Riley screamed. She was standing at the window, pointing. On the beach, in the fog, something was moving. Not walking, gliding, tall, impossibly tall, with too many joints in its limbs. Its face, God, its face was my grandfather's face, but stretched, wrong, mouth open too wide. It reached the porch and started climbing the stairs. Maya, Riley's voice was barely a whisper. What do we do? The door handle turned. Slowly. And I realized we weren't going to make it to morning. Not all of us. I grabbed the journal, reading the final instruction through tears. Speak the name of your choice before midnight. The island will claim them. This is the only way. I looked at Riley, at Ethan, both staring at me, waiting for me to fix this. And outside, the thing that used to be my grandfather whispered through the door, "Choose, Maya, choose now, or I choose for you." The clock on the wall ticked past 11:30 p.m. 30 minutes to make a decision that would destroy me either way. 30 minutes to decide which of my best friends would see the sunrise. Behind me, Riley sobbed. Ethan held her, his eyes meeting mine. And in that moment, I understood why my grandfather had lived alone for 30 years. Some choices you never recover from. The door opened.